Hi, I'm Lisa Haydon with Channel 6 Central Kentucky TV, community focus on Washington County. And we are happy today to have with us Sheriff Jerry Pinkston of Washington County. Welcome, Sheriff.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, since we've had all these elections recently, I thought it was a good time to have all our newly elected officers, and you are re-elected.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are an incumbent sheriff, and this will be your second term.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, we've had the sheriff on before, the sheriff prior to you, but, I think a lot of people don't always realize just what the sheriff's duties are by the Constitution, but also what you do otherwise in addition.
Right.
So, Kate, would you mind starting with that?
Yes, the sheriff's office, one of our first primary duties is, of course, naturally collect taxes. Our office, we collect around $6 million of tax money that comes in each year. We're responsible for putting it into the proper districts and the entities in which it goes to. It's a large responsibility.
Now, explain that to me. So, in the entities that it goes to, you mean like to the
like
city government and county government,
yes,
and the library,
and the school
school
systems, of course, the fire departments and the airport, different entities that get their part of the tax revenue.
And those are the property taxes.
Yes, ma'am, property tax.
And so they all, when you get those bills, they have all these little entities on there.
Yes, ma'am.
That all get their little share of the pie.
Right, yes. And once we collect it, then we're responsible for sending the proper amounts of money to each one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite a responsibility.
Yes, it is. And how much money did you say it was here in this county?
Around $6 million.
Wow. So then that is the main,
That's
constitutional role of the sheriff.
Yes, ma'am. But we have many roles we do. We do the security for the courts, such as district court, circuit court. We provide security for those through different hearings. Anything that's taken care of at the Judicial Center. I have security, 6 court security officers, 2 full-time, 4 part-time. They handle all that.
2 full-time and 4 part-time
Yes,
at the Judicial Center.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's
and their police powers are only on that grounds. No, they're not. They're not road officers and take calls. They work there at the courthouse.
I know they do the security.
Yes, ma'am.
In the front. Do they also go into the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am. They do. They do everything inside that building. They provide security for the judges. They Joanne Miller's office, her ladies.
The circuit clerk's office then.
Any lawyers, judges, the public that comes in. That's their responsibility. They keep peace in the courtrooms. As prisoners are brought in for the jailer, brings in from the different courts. It's our officers' responsibility to make sure that they're taken care of in the cells and brought in and out of the courtroom at appropriate time.
Of course, now with our Judicial Center, a whole lot different from the old courthouse.
Yeah.
You've got actually holding cells.
Yes, ma'am.
Downstairs in the basement area.
Well, there's holding cells on the district floor, the upper floor, middle floor, and then there's also a holding cell in the basement.
Okay.
So
on all the floors.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you all have to watch those and.
Yes, ma'am. We provide an officer.
Escort them.
An officer will sit back there, not in the cell with them, but in the area outside the cell door, and bring them from the cells into the courtroom, and then escort them back.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
So now that's just at the Judicial Center.
Yes.
And then you've got your other officers.
Yes, the road officers. There's myself and 5 deputies. We also do road patrols. We do, of course, traffic patrols. We serve warrants. We do funerals, positions, lead that. And other duties are such as MIWs, mental inquest warrants. We serve those, subpoenas, search warrants over the county, bench warrants. We have many rows, traffic collisions. The list goes on.
Yeah. And so now, do you provide 24-hour coverage then?
Yes.
But you can't do that to all parts of, I mean, how do you do that?
Well, the way we are understaffed with only 6 officers working the entire county. We have, of course, I have a work schedule for certain officers to work shifts, but some hours of the night, there's just not enough officers to carry be on duty. But we have on-call time that they're called from there, and myself, I'm one of them. All the officers have on-call time, which is a small amount, but if we had more officers, we could probably have someone on duty all the time. It has been tried before by the previous sheriff, and I was one of the officers that was put on as a deputy to run those hours of the night when we were having just minimum calls, and it was just not cost effective to have someone out there and not getting any calls.
Yeah.
We did do patrols throughout the whole entire county during that time period, but the small number of people we have, in officer safety, that's why I try to run 2 men per shift for officer safety, plus be able to handle the calls, the call volume that comes in. Since I've been sheriff, and since actually the beginning from when I became a deputy.
Now, how long were you a deputy?
Just almost 5 years as a deputy sheriff under Sheriff Bartley.
Okay.
And I started out as a court security officer under Sheriff Bartley, and I was one of the court security officers at one time that worked at the Judicial Center. Okay. And then I moved from there to deputy sheriff and went to the police academy. Graduated from there at the JT out of Richmond, and then worked as a deputy under Sheriff Bartley, and when he retired, that's when I ran for sheriff.
Sheriff Bartley. We never see him now.
He was a good man. He treated me well.
Yeah. Well, so now, so in the county, are the deputies assigned to certain, like, districts
No, we don't.
or regions?
I don't have them broken down in districts. When I have 2 deputies on, there's some nights I have 3 deputies on. Of those nights, more my higher activity nights. But no, they patrol the entire county, and one may be in one part of the county, and they scatter out. But when they have certain types of calls, that's when they all respond to the certain type of call, such as a domestic or a wreck with injuries, and some just basic calls where there's been threats of violence. They all go to the same call on that.
Yeah.
And of course, we have one officer that he still does all the calls, but he also serves a lot of papers. We have a lot of papers we have to serve, court papers, civil papers, subpoenas, and they have to be served in a timely manner.
Yeah.
So I have one officer that does that quite a bit more than the others.
Uh-huh. And they go by themselves?
Yes, on the paper serving, yes.
Uh-huh.
Now, if it's warrant service, no.
Okay.
There's at least 2 on warrant service.
Yeah. Now, so what do you think, so since you've been in this position now, this is your 2nd term as sheriff, what do you see as some of our problems and some of the things that you think we should focus on and work, toward finding some solutions?
Well, as in every county, and also in Washington County, there are drugs and drug issues. And usually when you have, in any county, when you have drugs such as heroin, meth, cocaine, spice, marijuana, when you have all these things, you don't only just have the drug addiction problem, but you also have the thefts that come with the use of drugs. And those are things that we focus on as much as possible. I do have an agreement with our city police and helped purchase a canine back a few years ago. and I have their assistance. I have all the sheriffs that join
use
the city.
the canine dog.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, I have a partnership with the city police on the use of the
Uh-huh.
canine dog.
Now, how do you do that?
Well, it's we have a contract between us.
I mean, like, so if you enter in a situation, you can call the city police and they'll bring the
Yes, ma'am.
officer.
Yes, ma'am. The officer and the canine.
And we'll bring the okay.
Yes, but of course, in every, in, you
'Cause
know,
I
it
know
depends
that-
on the cases. But in some types of cases, the dog has to be there in a timely manner. But when you just have to work with the best you have in those cases.
Yeah.
But when we have more time involved, I've got a connection with every county around Washington County, and I have access to their dogs as well, and their help, which is a good connection to have.
Oh yeah.
At a moment's notice, I could have, depending on where in the situation, I can have.
Where you were in the county,
Yeah.
you might be able to
Right, if-
enlist the help of Marion County
Right,
or
exactly.
the help of Nelson County.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
that's good.
And,
Yeah.
I have good connections with the state police as well, and I have connections with their post, their sergeants and their lieutenants that will help us at any time we need it. But of course, I feel, and I know a lot of people feel when I was out campaigning, that we need more officers, and of course, money's tight and budgets are tight, and that's a big issue with any sheriff's department, but it's also a big issue with our sheriff's department of being able to hire qualified officers and pay salaries to compete with counties that have much more financial systems.
A broader tax base.
Yes, ma'am. People don't like to talk about that, but
it's the truth.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
And but that is one of the key things.
Well, and they're bigger counties too.
Yes.
Marion County's twice our size. Nelson County's about 3 times our size.
And with that, you have competing counties with more money that try to hire your officers away and offer them more money, which that tends to be a problem as well.
Exactly. Yeah, because
So-
about the time you get them trained, and they go to, because I guess the sheriffs, deputy sheriffs go through the
Yes,
academy.
every officer
the
I have has
police
been academy
academy.
trained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really good. And then you get them trained, you pay for their training, and you get them on staff, and then
Then they leave.
they leave.
But all my officers are academy trained. Everybody's been through the Department of Criminal Justice and trained. My court security have been up there and trained. So all the staff is
That's great.
well trained. I know some people use special deputies and constables, but I believe training is a strong part of what you need.
Yeah.
That is how you learn, is how you keep qualified officers and keep from getting sued.
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah.
So
Yep, you got to be concerned about that.
it is a big issue.
It is. And so you consider our drug problem, of course, probably our biggest issue in the county.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And I suppose every county would say the same.
I think they would.
Yeah. I mean, it's just really unbelievable, the drug situation that every county has. And I know it's being looked at on the state level and the national
ma'am.
level and ways to combat it. And I'm just not so sure. Do you think there's anything that you can do from your standpoint, from your office, that is going to, or something you would like to see get done to help with that situation?
Well, I would eventually like to have our own canine unit on our force, that I wouldn't have to partner with someone else to be able to have that access.
Because they can smell out the drugs.
Well, that, and it's just you have to, some cases have to have the dog there in a timely manner. I would like to see, of course, I know the Isaiah House is in our county and helps with drug addiction as far as counseling and different things. I think those programs are a good source. I wouldn't, like I said, to have more officers to help with that as well. It's just
but you probably
that's
see
a
a lot
that's a tough question when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of it. It's more to it than people think.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm sure you see a lot of repeat offenders.
Yes, we do.
And so I don't know if jail is the solution or treatment programs. It seems that now we're looking at more treatment programs, and I'm happy about that because having been in social work as a career, I feel treatment is really important. And you used to not be able to get treatment because people couldn't afford it, and there weren't any insurances that paid for it.
Right. Well, I understand.
And that's changed a lot through the last few years under, our different healthcare plans, and I'm glad of that. So I know
I do agree with the treatment programs. It's good to have that, and it's a good attempt. But I do see repeat people that have been through those programs and it didn't take.
right.
And so sometimes a lengthy jail sentence may be the alternative to help solve that.
Yeah.
I do know that some we have arrested and got them out of certain areas of the county. The thefts dropped after a while. They sit in jail for a while, and it would leave an officer to believe that sometimes jail is a little bit too lenient. The courts are too lenient to let them out too quickly.
I see.
But that's just my opinion.
Costing our county, though.
Exactly.
Every day. That's another effect of the whole problem, is because that's costing the taxpayer while they're in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
And
So
because the new judge executive was just talking briefly about our jail bill.
Yes, ma'am, and that is just two different types of jobs. My job is to catch the offenders and incarcerate them, and he views it a little differently. I understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't elaborate on it, but we were just talking, about the budget, and our jail budget is. I mean, we spend a lot of money in the county on
yes, ma'am, we do.
People in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
And just wish we could
I'm in the fiscal court every time they meet, and I hear those budgets, and I understand money, and that is what makes any county tick.
Yeah.
And
but that's got to be frustrating after you've arrested someone, and you want to see them spend some time in jail for those crimes.
And also the victims in these cases want to see some justice.
That's right. That's true. Yeah. So, well, is there anything else that you think that we need to, goals that you have, or concerns? Or
everyone has goals when they are elected. I think we've been doing a good job over the last 4 years, especially on the amount of officers we have. You'll never eradicate drugs and drug use. That's something that we'll be constantly working on, and the next sheriff that takes my place will be faced with the same problems. The next fiscal court, it's not going away. If it was, it would be gone through larger government. But that's just something we have to continue to work on a daily basis. And as time goes on, like I said, I hate keep beating that to death, but I think our county needs a few more officers and to help patrol the roads. It helped answer the calls, and that will also help the drug situation with more officers.
Now we do get some help from the state police, correct?
Yes, they are here working, and I have a partnership. I don't want to get too much into that, but I do have a partnership that me and the previous judge signed with a drug task force that work in this county, and I won't go into that in detail by no means, but they're out of Haydon County, and they help me here. They've been helping me here for quite a while, and they do a good job. Yeah. And I can't go into detail on that.
Yeah. Well, that's good that we get, that extra help. That's great. Yes. Yeah. So, well, now I can't let you go without your giving me a little information about your wife and your family.
Okay.
And of because I know they're very proud of you, and
Yes.
I know that they helped get you reelected.
They helped me. Yes, they did.
And
a lot of good friends also.
of course, yeah.
Well, I've been. I got my wife is named Patty. We got married in '82. We went to school here together. We've been married 37 years.
What was that? Washington County?
Washington County
High School?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We both went to school here, and
So you're from?
I've always been here.
From Willisburg or
I was from the Mackville area.
Mackville area?
But I
Okay.
lived out in the East Texas area of the county, for many years.
Okay.
But we've been married 37
And
years.
what's her name again?
Patty
What's her maiden?
Abston.
Absent. Okay.
And we have 3 boys. Jeremy is my oldest, Dalton is my middle, and Wesley is my youngest. They're all married. I've got 4 grandbabies, 1 grandbaby on the way.
Who's having the grandbaby?
My oldest son, Jeremy, his wife, Mary Beth.
Mary Beth's having a baby?
Yes, ma'am. I guess I just
know
put that on the news. And,
I guess so. Congratulations.
They're very proud of that, and I am them. And I'm proud.
That'll be their third.
Yes, ma'am.
Third, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
So that's good.
I've got a real good family. Of course, growing up, any parents, they hope none of their children get in trouble, and they deal with it if they do. But I was fortunate; mine done real well, and I didn't have to go to jail and get none of them out. So I feel very lucky.
That's good. That's really good. And so your wife was an Abston. I just wondered if I knew her family.
Her brother was James Abston, the one that run the welding shop
And
here.
was he a minister too?
No, James wasn't. He was a farmer and a welder and machinist type guy.
Okay.
And he was injured down here on the side street and passed away from it doing his job several years ago.
And you're a farmer.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you said you've got to get home and feed the cows,
Feed
or
the
what
cow.
do you have to do?
Yes, I've been a farmer since as soon as I got out of school, I was been a farmer, and I farm out East Texas area. I run about a little over 100 head of beef cattle. I'm a diesel mechanic. I help my neighbors stay in the field. I don't run a garage, but I do try to help my neighbors and keep them moving.
On the machines, on the farm machinery.
Yeah, farm machinery and tractors and things like that.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So,
well, you just got a lot of things going on.
Yes, ma'am.
You're a busy man.
Too much sometimes.
I was going to say, yeah. You'd probably like to have a little more downtime. So, well, I want to congratulate you again and to your family. And thank you for being on here today. I know that's not your favorite thing to do.
Well, it's not my favorite thing to do is interviews, but I do love my county, and I love being here. And as long as the voters want me here, I would love to be here and try to continue to make this a better place.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you.